Welcome back to all to the seventh lesson on conservation of energy and momentum. Here in this lesson, we will discuss some basics about the two physical quantities called angular momentum and torque, and is for the simplest case of a single particle. In the next lesson, we will generalize the result for a system of particles. First of all, we will discuss about the angular momentum. All of us are familiar with the linear momentum of a particle. Linear momentum is simply defined as the product of velocity and mass of the particle. It is represented by the letter P. So P is equal to mv. Linear momentum is a vector quantity with the direction along the direction of velocity. That you are familiar. And here we are going to discuss the rotational counterpart of linear momentum. The rotational analog of linear momentum is called angular momentum. Angular momentum is actually the moment of linear momentum. The moment means if any quantity is multiplied by a perpendicular distance of that quantity from a reference point, we will get the moment of that quantity. So angular momentum is actually linear momentum into perpendicular distance of that linear momentum from some reference point that we will discuss in the next slide. So mathematically, a linear momentum and angular momentum are related by the definition of angular momentum. The angular momentum may be defined as J is equal to r cross p, where r is the position vector of the particle with respect to some reference point, and p is the linear momentum of that particle, and j is called the angular momentum of that particle with respect to that reference point. So the angular momentum is defined with respect to some reference point. This can be written as m into r cross v, where v is the velocity of the particle. From the picture, we can see that the position vector r and the angular linear momentum p are lying on the same plane, and say there is an angle theta between them. Then the vector product of these two vectors r cross p will be perpendicular to both r and p, and it will be directed perpendicular to the plane containing r and p. So j equal to r cross p. It is the direction of angular momentum. It will be perpendicular to both position vector and a linear momentum of the particle. It is also a vector quantity. Here we can see that the angular momentum as a magnitude J is equal to rp sine theta. If theta is the angle between the position vector and velocity, it is called r cross p will have a magnitude of rp sine theta. And unit of angular momentum is, here the unit of position will be meter, and linear momentum will be mv. It means kilogram meter per second. So kilogram meter per second into meter is kilogram meter square per second, or we can write it as kilogram meter square per second square into second. It becomes joule second. You can use either kilogram meter square per second or joule second. Both of them are accepted as SI quantities. We can write this J is equal to r cross p as the magnitude of J is equal to r sine theta into p, which because it is rp sine theta, it can be written as r sine theta into p. Now we look at this figure. Here r is the position vector of the particle as measured from some reference point O. Here this is the position vector r, and p is the linear momentum of that particle. It is measured, it is represented by this vector p, and theta is the angle between them. This is actually theta, this angle theta means this angle is also equal to theta. So r cross p will be equal to rp sine theta or r sine theta into p. So this is the vector p. If we reproduce the vector p in the backward direction by the dotted line, we can see that this vector is r, this length is equal to r, and this angle is equal to theta. Therefore, if we draw a normal from the reference point to the line of action of the linear momentum, we get this line, and that line will be equal to r sine theta, because if this angle is theta, we can see that sine theta is equal to opposite side by hypotenuse. This is opposite side, so sine theta is equal to opposite side by r, or this opposite side is equal to r sine theta. So r sine theta, actually this, in this equation, the r sine theta is the perpendicular distance of this linear momentum from the reference point. So we can write this equation as P into perpendicular distance. So the angular momentum is obtained, the magnitude of angular momentum is obtained by multiplying linear momentum with its perpendicular distance from the reference point. So J is called the moment of linear momentum. If any quantity is obtained by multiplying its perpendicular distance of some other quantity, then that quantity is called the moment of the moment of the first quantity. Here angular momentum, the magnitude of angular momentum is obtained by multiplying linear momentum with its perpendicular distance from the reference point. So angular momentum can be called as the moment of linear momentum. Now about the direction of angular momentum. We can see that angular momentum is a vector quantity. Here in this picture, the position vector r and the linear momentum vector p were not in the xy plane. They are not in the xy plane. Maybe one of them may be in the xy plane, but here we can see they are not in the xy plane. R is not in the xy plane, and p is also not in the xy plane. So r cross p will be a vector perpendicular to the plane containing r and p, and that vector is represented by this j. So here the angular momentum is in a general direction. It means that it is not exactly along the x, y or z direction. As angular momentum is a vector quantity, it can also be resolved into different components. So here j can have an x component, a y component or z component. So the component of j along any axis passing through the fixed reference point, this is our reference point O. So z, say we can take the z axis. If we take the component of this angular momentum along the z direction, we can say that it is the angular momentum of that particle with respect to that axis, that is with respect to about that reference axis. That is called the z component of the angular momentum. If j has a component along the z direction, it is called the z component of angular momentum. Similarly, here this picture shows in the case of an atom, an electron may be rotating about a nucleus. So we can take this as the orbital motion of the electron. As the electron is orbiting, the position vector r will be measured from the nucleus to the electron. This is the position vector r, and the velocity of the electron will be tangential to the path of the electron. So velocity will be directed in this manner. So r cross p, that is position vector into linear momentum, cross product will be directed in a plane containing both r and p. So it will be perpendicular to the plane of motion, or the angular momentum will be perpendicular to the orbital plane of that electron. It will be directed along this direction. And if we apply a magnetic field along this along some arbitrary axis, and generally that arbitrary axis will be taken along the z axis. So here this is the z axis. This electron angular momentum has a component along the z axis, and that component of angular momentum is called the jz. Here the important point is the angular momentum is a vector quantity similar to any other vector quantity. It can also be resolved into different components. The component of angular momentum along a reference point, along a reference axis, that is along an axis passing through the fixed reference point, is called the angular momentum about that axis. Now the simplistic case of circular motion. For a circular motion, the position vector r and the linear momentum p are on the same plane, and the particle is moving along a circle. Here r cross p will be equal to j. As usual, j will be pointed perpendicular to the direction of velocity and position vector. So here, if this is r from O to that particle and this is p, the particle is executing circular motion in this fashion. So r cross p is equal to j. This is the vector j, the angular momentum j. So here, for the simplistic case of circular motion, we can see that the angular momentum j and the angular velocity omega are on the same direction. They are parallel to each other. Here there is a rotating wheel. Similar to the case of a rotating particle, here also the angular momentum j and the angular velocity omega are on the same direction. So for circular motion, the angular momentum j mathematically can be written as m into r cross v, that is equal to m into r cross of the velocity v is equal to omega cross r in the case of a circular motion. So this is a cross b cross c, that is equal to a dot c b minus a dot b c. That is, it is equal to mr square omega. We get it as mr square omega, because here a dot c becomes r dot r, that is r square into omega. Then a dot b c, r dot omega will be 0 because r is along the plane of the circular motion and omega is perpendicular to that. So r dot omega will be 0. There will be only one term mr square omega. So from this equation, we see that the angular momentum j, which is a vector quantity, it is equal to mr square. Now it is a scalar into omega is a vector quantity. So omega and j are on the same direction. That is possible only in the case of circular motion. In all angular momentum cases, the angular momentum j may not be in the same direction as the angular velocity omega. So this is a clear difference between the angular momentum and the linear momentum. We can see that in the case of linear momentum, the linear momentum p will be always in the direction of the velocity v. But in the rotational case, the angular momentum j is always, it is not along the same direction of omega. There are some exceptions, that is, generally the angular momentum j will not be in the direction of angular velocity omega. But here in the simplistic case of a circular motion in a fixed plane, the angular momentum j and the angular velocity omega are on the same direction. So we can write the magnitude is j is equal to mr square omega or is equal to mvr, because omega is equal to v by r. So it is equal to mvr. From this we can easily see that mv is the linear momentum and r is the position vector or the perpendicular distance from the axis. So it is equal to linear momentum into perpendicular distance. So j and omega are on the same direction and are perpendicular to the plane of the circle. That in the case of a simplistic case of simplistic case of a circular motion in a fixed plane. Now we are going to define what is a torque. For that, we differentiate the expression for the angular momentum of a particle. The angular momentum j is equal to r cross p. So taking the differential of j with respect to the time t, we get dj by dt is equal to d by dt of r cross p. So that is equal to dr by dt cross p plus r cross dp by dt. That is by using the product rule of differentiation and keeping the order of differentiation, because r cross p is a vector product, so order is important. Dr by dt cross p plus r cross dp by dt. So that is equal to, this dr by dt is the velocity of the particle. So v cross and p is equal to mv. v cross mv plus r plus dp by dt. So that is equal to m is a scalar can be taken out because it is not operated with the cross product. So this can be written as m into v cross v plus r cross this dp by dt according to Newton's second law of motion. Dp by dt is the force acting on the particles, so r cross f. Now v cross v is v into sine 0 because 0 is the angle between v and v. So v cross v will be equal to 0. So we get dj by dt is equal to r cross f. Now this product, the cross product r cross f is called the torque acting on the particle. This product is called torque of the particle. So we can see the definition of torque is similar to the definition of angular momentum. In the case of angular momentum it was r cross p, but in the case of torque it is r cross f. So torque is actually the moment of force acting on the particle. So the torque on a particle is the rotational analog of force, and it can be called as the moment of force, similar to the angular momentum. So the torque acting on a particle is mathematically defined as tau is equal to r cross f, and the relation between torque and angular momentum is, in the last slide we see that torque T is equal to dj by dt. So this relation is exactly similar to the Newton's second law of motion in translational motion. In that case F is equal to dp by dt, that is the linear force F is equal to the rate of change of linear momentum p, that is F is equal to dp by dt. Here in the angular motion we see that the angular force, that is called torque, the torque is equal to the rate of change of angular momentum. So actually this equation T is equal to dj by dt is the Newton's second law of motion in the case of rotational motion. Now here this torque is also a vector quantity, and unit of torque is unit of angular momentum divided by second. So it is kilogram meter square per second square, and it is also called as kilogram meter per second is the Newton. So this can be called as Newton meter, or in some textbooks may be called as joule. Newton meter is actually equal to joule, but usually we will keep joule for the unit of energy. So the dimensions of energy and torque, both of them have the same dimension. And if now we are going to discuss an important principle. If the torque acting on a particle is 0, if T is equal to 0, we see that dj by dt will be equal to 0. That is the rate of change of angular momentum is equal to 0. It means that J will be a constant. If there is no change in angular momentum, then it means that angular momentum is a constant. So in the absence of torque acting on a particle, that is if no torque is acting on a particle, then the angular momentum of that particle is a constant, and this principle is called the principle of conservation of angular momentum. And here also we see that this principle is exactly similar to the principle of conservation of linear momentum. In the case of linear momentum, in the case of external force, the total linear momentum of a particle is a constant. Here in the absence of external torque, the total angular momentum of a particle remains a constant. So we can stop here. In this lesson you have studied the definitions of angular momentum and torque in the case of a single particle, and the relation connecting the angular momentum and torque, and also the directions associated with these two quantities. So after going through this chapter, you should be able to answer the following questions. That is, what are the rotational analogues of linear momentum and force? Is angular momentum always parallel to the angular velocity omega? I have said it is no, generally it is not parallel. So find some examples in which this angular momentum and omega are not parallel to each other. And what is the relation between torque and angular momentum? That relation is called the Newton's second law of motion in the case of rotational motion. T is equal to dj by dt. And then refer your textbooks and prepare the note also. So thank you for watching this video. The next lesson will be taken on next Wednesday.